Hello everybody, AstroMommy here. So today I have another horary chart example for you. Have you ever lost your pet and wondered if they were going to be coming home anytime soon or if they were lost forever? Well, that is exactly what happened to my client. And so she called me and we cast a horary chart right then and there. And as I was talking to her, her cat came back. So I wanted to share with you this chart because it's a nice example of how horary can help allay your fears and also just kind of how it works when you are dealing with an inanimate object like a pet. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize my screen here. And I want to check to make sure that my pen is highlighting the correct area before we get started because I keep having trouble making my pen highlight the correct area. Okay, this looks correct. Okay, so here we go. Hopefully my markings on the screen will show up correctly. So where is my cat? So my client called me and their cat was missing. Their cat had been missing for a few hours and it was starting to get dark and they were getting very worried. So just as with any other horary, my client is going to be represented by the ascendant. So our ascendant is here at 23 degrees Taurus, 56 minutes. The ruler of the ascendant represents my client, which is Venus. Venus is at 15 degrees Leo, 14 minutes. Now, traditionally, my client would also get the moon, which is located here at 16 degrees Libra, 17 minutes. But sometimes we use the moon when we are dealing with lost pets, depending. So the lost pet is actually represented by the sixth house of pets. And you can see that the sixth house is Libra, 10 degrees Libra, 48 minutes. The ruler of Libra is Venus. Well, we already have Venus here representing my client. So we're not going to give the lost cat to Venus. We're actually going to give the lost pet to the moon because the moon can represent the lost item or the lost person or the lost pet in a horary chart. And so the moon was given to the cat at 16 degrees Libra, 17 minutes. And perfectly, the moon was in the house of pets, which seemed very apt for this reading. And so I said to my client, I said, okay, your cat is not very far away because they are very close to where they're supposed to be because the cat was located in its own house, the house of pets, right? So right off the bat, that allayed some of my client's fears, right? Knowing that the cat was close by. Now, we wanted to look at aspects to see what was going on. So I'm going to go ahead and erase these circles here so I can talk about the aspects. Now, the moon had just separated from Venus by sextile, which made sense because the moon, being the cat, had just left my client. Now, I wanted to see, was the moon going to be applying to somehow get back to my client? I didn't see any aspects that actually brought the cat back to my client by aspect, but I did see a couple of testimonies. Besides the cat being in its own house, the sixth house, I also saw that Jupiter and Venus were in a partile square with one another. So they were both at 15 degrees of their respective signs. Venus was in Leo at 15 degrees and Jupiter was in Taurus at 15 degrees. And I saw this as a really positive testimony, meaning that Jupiter is the planet of abundance and help and aid and blessings. And Jupiter was also the 11th house ruler of hopes and wishes. So right there, I thought, okay, my client's going to get her hope and wish, which is to have her cat return. And while we were talking on the phone, the cat did come back. Now, a couple of interesting things on the horary chart that I want to point out that I felt supported the cat coming back. First is that we have the sun in a nice trine to the ascendant. So that shows that there's support for my client, that the cat's whereabouts were going to be illuminated. And the sun was also in the fifth house of children. And, a lot of people call their cats or their dogs their babies. And so it was like, there was something about this that was very supportive with finding her pet. Additionally, I thought it was interesting that we also had Uranus here at 22 degrees Taurus, 55 minutes retrograde on the ascendant, which showed that there was, some sort of chaotic event that just happened. And that was kind of sending my client through a little bit of a whirlwind of, wondering what was going on and just feeling really uncertain and a little bit freaked out about where her cat was. So thankfully, her cat did return while we were on the phone, which is a wonderful thing to have happen. That doesn't always happen when we're doing a chart about a lost pet. Oftentimes it takes hours, days, sometimes even weeks for a pet to return. Just depends on the situation. And then of course there are those times when pets don't return, right? And that is always so sad. But I wanted to share with you a happy lost pet horary that had a nice happy ending. I hope you all enjoyed this lost pet horary. Horary can really help you in a lot of ways, especially if you're dealing with something that's really emotional. A lot of times it can really help allay your fears, or it can just help give you an idea of why the situation is going on, what's occurring, and what's going to be coming up in the future. And it can be really helpful in that. And so I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you guys all enjoyed that, and I'll see you guys next time.